Hello, friends. Today I'd like to talk about a 2006 comedy called Employee of the Month. Watch out for spoilers ahead and take care.
Zach is a simple bagger in a supermarket. He is a healthy adult who lives with his grandmother and still does not have a girlfriend, but one day a new girl comes to work at the supermarket. It was a typical day at the supermarket, shoppers pecking at the merchandise and Zach roller skating. In his spare time, he works and bullies the best cashier, Vince.
Vince is an arrogant asshole who has been an Employee of the Month 17 times in a row.
The manager Glengarry says that Vince is about to break that record because 18 times in a row has never been the best employee. And he wants all to get into the spirit of competition.
Glenn also says that a new employee is about to join the team. Everyone is observing Vince's impeccable work.
The customer is in awe of him, and suddenly, the world shakes when a new employee named Amy walks into the sales room. Vince not only interrupts Zach and Amy's conversation but also tries to humiliate him. So Vince takes her on a tour of the supermarket. Zach discovers something about the girl and asks his friend Russell to get her personnel file from Human Resources. Zach discovers that her reason for transferring to the store is quite interesting. She has a soft spot for the best employees. Zach is shocked by this fact and decides to beat Vince to become an Employee of the Month. Vince accepts this challenge by constantly repeating that he is the fastest cashier in the entire Southwest. Zach invites Amy to a party, but she declines because she is going on a date with Vince.
Zach congratulates Vince on his date, hugs him and wishes him a good night. Zach discreetly steals Vince's wallet and offers to order a pizza on Vince's tab.
Meanwhile, Vince discovers he has no money, but the waitress turns out to be his fan and doesn't charge him $1.
Zach returns Vince's wallet, which he supposedly found on the street.
Vince tries to piss off Zach by telling him how Amy is a fantastic kisser. But his attempt fails.
Zach looks for ways to become an Employee of the Month.
After hearing from a security guard that a child is lost somewhere in the store, Zach runs to find him, with Vince keeping up with him. After hitting the kid in the head with the ball, Vince appears to the audience as a hero and earns another star.
Zach is down on his luck, and he's not getting anywhere.
But a colleague advises him to be himself. Zach helps an old lady to load a coffin on the cart for her still-alive husband. She informs the manager, and Zach gets his first star. Even Amy got excited and offered to celebrate. Zach is going on his dream date, and Grandma advises that he wash his balls. The date with Amy was right in the supermarket.
It has everything you need to have a good time.
First, Zach treated her to a great dinner and then decided to give her something she had never done.
Then they went up to the roof to play golf. Zach admits it was the best date of his life.
Amy shared her scary secret by showing off her giant ear. And the following day, two pieces of news were waiting for everyone, bad and very bad. Last night one of the cashiers died, and now she is being replaced by someone else.
And the very bad news is that the big boss Glenn Ross is coming to check on them.
Gary is his brother and is very afraid of him. Zach takes the place of the dead cashier, and he is no longer a packer. It looks like Zach managed the impossible. Big boss was pleased with my work, and he got another star and a cashier card. In the evening, Zach and Grandma went to the store and happened to meet Amy there.
Grandma approved of the choice.
Amy, of course, was surprised that Zach lived with Grandma, and he had to tell her about his business, which had gone bankrupt. Amy was sympathetic to the story, and the next day, Zach noticed that Vince was starting to screw up at work. It was probably all because of Zach's success. Zach decided to help his boss out for a star and rented a secret place to store the goods. His friends now resent him because he has access to the break room. Vince prepares a deal. He offers Zach to back out, and Vince wins the car, Amy's heart, and promotion.
In return, he offers to let Zach keep his job.
In the evening, while Zach was out on a date with Amy, Vince and Jorge broke into his house and changed all the clocks in the house. They knew that Zach would only get the next stars if he was on time for work. So Zach was late. And it seems to be all over, but Iqbal bails out our hero. Zach strikes back, drives Vince's car into the sales area, and puts it on sale. There is even a buyer for it. And according to the rules of the store, the goods must be sold. But another terrible news awaits Vince. Jorge no longer wants to be friends with him because Vince sold the car to some dude and not him. And now Zach only has to get 1 star to even his score with Vince. The baseball game should help him do that. Their store has to play against a competitor's store. But Iqbal asked Zach to replace him, and he couldn't refuse him after all he had done for him. But there were no customers in the store, and Zach decided to run to the game. Zach single-handedly turns the tide of the game by rapidly scoring points, while at the same time, the store is filled with customers with no shopkeepers. Zach gives a powerful motivational speech, wins the last point, and gets an important star. The big boss announces that there will be a final test to decide the winner. Vince is distraught and apologizes to Jorge. Zach's friends don't share his good mood because he got Iqbal fired. And in general, want to avoid being friends with them further because Zach now interacts more with the bosses. And traded them in for some puppet who goes out with the best employees of the month. Amy hears all this and she's shocked, because the employee of the month at her old job was her boyfriend. So Zach ends up losing his friends and his girlfriend. So he decides to quit, but only his grandmother believes in him. Her words of support give Zach confidence, and he goes to Iqbal to reconcile with him and the rest of his friends. He arranges not to be fired and promises to kick Vince's ass. And not for anyone else but for himself. And he really needs his friends' help. Jorge comes back to Vince, but on one condition: he gives him access to the cashier's lounge. With Jorge's arrival, Vince's confidence returns, and he starts showing off again. And when the boss announces that Zach has quit, Vince is beyond happy. But unexpectedly, Zach and his friends come to work. Big Boss offers to start the final task. Whoever gets through the goods faster wins. Before the fight, Zach apologizes to Amy and thanks her for positively influencing his life. The battle begins. Zach punched through product after product, went to cruising speed, and Vince turned on turbo mode altogether, but no one could get ahead. In the final, it was necessary to punch a tire and still needed to find barcode. In this race, Zach was faster, and despite the many obstacles, Zach almost won. He was a second short of victory. In the evening, the big boss declared Vince the winner and gave him the keys to the new car. Vince doesn't hold back tears when he gives his thank you speech, but is interrupted by a security guard. He notices something on the surveillance tapes, and it transpires that Vince is a fraud and that he not only cheated at the contest but has been giving out free merchandise all year. The guard takes Vince away in an unknown direction. Zach is declared the winner, and he gets a new car and the heart of Amy, who says that he is yet to test her feelings in the next months when someone else becomes an employee of the month.